It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people don't even, that don't have an injury, don't travel as much as you do. Um, did you think when you were at the Shepherd Center, I'm going to be traveling the world, taking pictures all over the world, and you know, being all over? I mean, did you think about that when you were kind of at a dark point? Did that help push you towards wanting to go through with the rehabilitation and all that hard work?
Um, Probably yes. Because you have to imagine like better days ahead, right?
Yeah.
And some of the rehab was geared towards your future life, in a wheelchair and what you will be able to do or what you may not be able to do.
Welcome to It's Settled, the Ametros podcast. Each episode, we're going to dig into the humanity in workers' compensation and insurance claims, exploring the stories of injured people and those who support them, as well as the good work professionals are doing in the industry. And now, I invite you to join me, Sean Dean, General Counsel at Ametros and the host of It's Settled. Now, it's settled. Let's get on to the episode. We are very happy today to have Eamon O'Regan here. Sir, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining and getting ready to share your story. Appreciate it very much. I guess for the viewers, just to start off, probably can tell you're not from the United States by your accent. I guess tell
Right.
us, Eamon, folks, where you're from.
All right, Sean, thanks for the welcome. Yeah, no, as you can tell by my surname, yeah, that's the giveaway, right? Yeah. No, I'm from a little city in Ireland called Cork, which is down the very south of the island. And it's a good sized city, We like to think of ourselves as the real capital of Ireland. So we have, that's the little joke in Ireland, between Cork and the capital of Dublin. So, no, I love it, I miss it, but this is home here now in Florida.
That's great. Well, that's full disclosure. That's my heritage too. I haven't been, but I really want to go. So that's where my forebears are from. So how long have you been in the U.S.?
Oh God, a little over 16 years. Yeah,
Okay.
2006. I moved here and I became a citizen in 2016. So I am a naturalized U.S. citizen. So, I get to do everything that, a natural born U.S. citizen can do. And very proud. I was so happy to get it. And it gives me the privileges, of flying as a U.S. citizen and voting and everything that goes with that,
And you do a lot of travel, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But as so you're a member on the Ametros platform. And as folks who come on here, they've been involved in injuries, and you had one too. And I'd like, if you don't mind, just telling us your story about how you were involved in an accident and sort of the aftermath and the injuries you sustained, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper to talk about how you've coped and dealt and made strides through your recovery, getting through that. So I guess just to start, what happened?
Well, what happened was it was January 25th, 2019. So a little over almost 4 years now. I was involved in a head-on collision traffic accident here in Florida, actually, not too far from where I live.
Okay.
And I don't remember absolutely anything of it. Which people tell me is a good thing, and I tend to agree with them. But it was a head-on collision.
Okay.
Whilst working. I was just in between, driving to another doctor's office that afternoon, and so I was taken to a local hospital. Actually, the very same hospital that I work for. Ironically, yeah, I work for a hospital here in Pensacola. So I was taken to that hospital, for just immediate, just to diagnose everything that was going on with me. And that was when they found, a lot of internal issues through some CT scans and stuff like that, So they basically just stitched me up as best as they could. Um, and then that very night, I was airlifted down to the University of Florida, Shands Hospital down there in Gainesville.
Okay.
And that was when they diagnosed that I had like the spinal cord injury. So they were able to do, the spinal fusion there and a host of other surgeries. Both my legs were broken, my ankles, some internal injuries from the seatbelt, which caused a lot of internal bleeding. But like I said, I don't remember anything of it until I woke up. Probably, God, well, the accident was a Friday, so I think it was maybe a Monday when I woke up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at what point, I know these are tough things to talk about, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And it's definitely, we've been told it's helpful for other people who are going through similar things. But I guess maybe walk us through, at what point did you figure out like you probably weren't going to be walking again?
Right. Well, after waking up, of course, I was totally paranoid. I had no idea where I was, what had happened. And that took probably a day or two, to sink in. But I was still under a lot of anesthesia, the side effects from anesthesia. So I was very paranoid and but in a lot of pain. I was in terrible pain. So I think they kept me there for about 8 days until basically I was stable enough to go back to Pensacola.
Okay.
But that was when they found some internal bleeding again after the surgery, and they found that my colon was bleeding out. So they had to remove my colon, which was, I'm like, okay, what else can go wrong,
Right.
But wonderful staff. They're very helpful. I would say, even though I was a terrible patient at the time, I was constantly looking for medicine for my pain. But after I got back to Pensacola, I guess they got me as stable as they could back there, at the same hospital that I work for again, Baptist Hospital. So they were basically just treating me as a regular patient from that point, just daily medications, et cetera. I didn't need any more surgeries.
Okay.
But they had to figure out what they were going to do with me, because I'd been diagnosed with this spinal cord injury. So of course I was going to need rehabilitation and everything that goes with that. So after a couple of days, I got some good news, which I would say was, looking in hindsight now, it was wonderful news. They told me that I was going to go to Atlanta. I was going to be taken to Atlanta to a facility there called the Shepherd Center. And I'm sure some of your listeners will have heard of it. It's a very famous, well-known facility here in the United States, because it specializes in my exact injuries, spinal cord injuries, and how to treat patients with such, and how to get you as rehabilitated, as possible.
So how long did it take till you were transferred to the Shepherd Center?
By the time I had my accident, which was January 25th, I was taken to the Shepherd Center. I believe it was February the 20th.
Okay.
So almost a month. It was always a month afterwards. Yeah. They had gotten me like basically as stitched up as they could, between, my legs, my back, my abdominal areas. I had a lot of bruising from the seatbelt,
I can't even imagine the pain. How were you transported to Shepherd Center from where you were?
I was transported by regular, so EMS took me there.
Okay.
And EMS brought me back as well from Gainesville to Pensacola, which was a very long journey. Both journeys were very long. They were both like 6 hours or so. But those stretchers aren't comfortable at all, especially when you have like the back injury that I had, and they weren't able to treat me on those journeys with any pain medicine. the pain medicine that I got at the hospital, that was the only thing they weren't allowed to administer anything in between, those destinations.
Oh.
I guess it's for probably medical malpractice, maybe. I don't know,
Mm.
but I was asking them for medicine. God, I was, yeah. So yeah, I got to the Shepherd Center, and I got a wonderful introduction there from the team, and that was when I felt right at home right away. I knew I was in a good place.
Yeah, and
Because,
talk to us about the rehabilitation process at the Shepherd Center. What was day to day like? What was what was the recovery program like? What improvements did you make? Kind of what was your thought process too as you went into this, knowing that it was going to be, a lot of grueling work, both mentally and physically on your part.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I got to meet the team. I think it was a Thursday I got there, so I got to meet the team on the Friday. So I got introduced to everybody. Um, I got taken around the actual, the therapy room that I would be working out every day. And then I was given like, a timetable, like my schedule that was going to be starting on the Monday. So yeah, it's basically, you're going nonstop from 9 a.m. until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Which I know some people will think, well, that's crazy, because like, you can't walk, you can't move. What are you going to do? But
Right.
you start with the very basics, you start from just small little movements, just little things now that when I look back, I'm thinking, well, I don't even have to think about it now. But then you have to think about everything because you have to retrain those muscles. Those muscles haven't been moving like in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like your muscles, you just forget, how they work. And but such a wonderful team of people there. I still keep in touch with them. There's my physical therapist. I worked with 2 different occupational therapists. I had a speech therapist. I had a recreational therapist. She was wonderful, so we got to do some fun things, every
Yeah.
once in a while, once they diagnosed that I was able to, physically leave the building, so they would take us, they got a couple of buses, they would take us out on little
What was
trips.
the time frame from when you got there and late February to when you were released and going home?
Oh, by the time I got there, and you mean coming back to Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, 4 months I was there. I spent
Wow.
four whole months. Yeah. Um, I consider myself lucky that I was able to stay there for 4 months because um, through the fact that it was a worker's injury,
Yeah.
they were able to push, for an extension. Whereas I believe, regular insurance companies, they will basically keep the patient with a spinal cord injury there wherever they tend to go for 30 days, I think is their max. And then they have to leave unless there's something that
Gotcha.
maybe they can write over.
And you're
Um,
going every day from basically the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. I mean, physically it must have been grueling, but I have to wonder, mentally was it tough too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, at the beginning it was very, very difficult. Especially like when they're pushing you, to do, you might finish something at 10 o'clock and then you have to go right into something different at 11 and you're tired, you're physically exhausted. So you just have to, you just have to motivate yourself. And I believe that's just true. That's just true. My stubbornness. But also the people there, they do encourage you, and they are sympathetic, but they're also very good at what they do, and they kind of know how to get inside your head, so that they don't frustrate you,
Yeah.
because you can get frustrated, you feel like the whole world is on your back, so but I was able to just find a way, I was
But
able
you
to just
seem like
find
you
a way.
I haven't talked to you a few times. You seem so incredibly positive and you have such a like a kind and warm spirit. You don't seem like you're easy to anger, but I have to imagine there were some days that you were just like you just didn't want to get up and do all that work all day, for
Oh, yeah,
4 months
absolutely,
straight.
yeah.
It's like what I guess thinking back about it, what kept you going? Were there goals you were looking towards, or did you just kind of resign yourself to this is what I have to do to get better?
Yes, absolutely. This is what I have to do to get better. Yes. Don't feel sorry for yourself. There's you can't. And you see there are people there, that are in worse condition than I am. There were guys, that were I was diagnosed with a lower spinal cord injury, which is at the L2, L5 vertebrae. So basically paralyzed me from like the waist down.
Yeah.
But there are quadriplegics, that have the higher level injuries, and they have very limited movement of their hands. Some people can't move their hands at all. So, they're in, they need full-time, assistance. So you look at those people and you say, could have been worse. You have to tell yourself that if you don't, you'll just feel sorry for yourself otherwise. So and the other people will motivate you too. You kind of you gain friends. I got to meet some wonderful people there, and they cheer you up. You laugh, you smile. You realize you don't have to be shy around anybody. We're all in this together kind of mentality. And the same with the staff, it was very frustrating sometimes, especially like if sometimes the staff are actually running late themselves. For example, the nurses in the morning might be late coming in to give your medicine, and then I needed the people that would help me to cath, to pee.
Sure.
So you have to do all that stuff, and then you have to get dressed. And of course, at that stage, I wasn't able to dress myself. So somebody will help you dress, the nurses as a physician, or the nurse's assistant, sorry. And then because everything is running late, they bring in your food and you're eating your food quickly because you're looking at the time. You're saying, I have to get to to meet my physical therapist at 9:00. Yeah. And then Don will come, because his name was Don. Don would come walking into my room, and he'd be pointing at his watch, and I'm here eating my, my sausage and my eggs, and I said, "All right, man, I'm coming." I think some people would be able to relate to that,
Yeah.
So, and a lot of my I think the therapists were wonderful. They were the fact that they were able to extend my stay there because they could see the way I was progressing.
Yes.
And they knew I had the will to get better. If I wanted to throw in the towel, they would have just, they wouldn't want me there any longer. They'd be saying, well, you're just wasting our time, Mr. O'Regan. So, but no, my goal was just to get as good as I could, before I leave. And of course the physicians as well. I work with some great doctors. My case doctor was a Dr. Wesley Shea, and he was a good guy. He'd come in and check on me every day, and sometimes it would be more than once, because I was I would get some infections, like UTIs and such. I would get I started developing really, really bad back pain, lower back pain.
Yeah.
So that was when they had to get one of their pain doctors to come in and see me. And all these doctors are on site, so it's not like I have to leave the facility. So once we were able to kind of start getting that under control, it also helped with my rehabilitation, because there were days when I said to them, I'll work with you as hard as I can, as much as I can, but I'm just dealing with a lot of pain right now. Yeah. So, and they were understanding, they would say, okay, let's just see what we can do here. So, you make the best of a bad situation, I think.
If you could give words of encouragement to someone who it was in your situation, a couple weeks into their rehabilitation efforts and knowing how hard it is, what would be some things you would tell them that you'd want them to know, having gone through it yourself?
Just to tell them that it's okay to have a bad day. Don't throw in the towel. If you have a bad day, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't see it as a negative thing. You're going to have bad days. You're absolutely going to have bad days when you feel like you didn't make any progress at all, and that's okay, because that's something that that you asked for. It'll happen for whatever reason. Everybody has a bad day, right? We all have bad days, but that would be my best advice. Just take a deep breath. Tomorrow will be better. And my situation, yeah, everything was better the next day. You just get on with it. You just have to. And like I said, there are people in there that have worse conditions than you. So and that's kind of motivation in itself to get better. Because you realize it could have been a lot worse. And the things that they can't do that you're able to do physically. How lucky am I? That's the way I would look at it.
Well, along those lines, one of the things that you love to do is travel. And I think that the travel bug kind of bit you at a young age, and obviously you're from Ireland, and I imagine you probably, when you were in rehab, you were dreaming of a day where you could go visit those places you wanted to see. And what was your first big trip after the accident? Where'd you go?
Oh, well, the first big trip at the Shepherd Center was when I was able to leave my room unassisted by myself. I went down. They had a little coffee shop downstairs, and I got like an espresso and a donut or something, and I was by myself. And I was so happy.
I love it.
I was like, "Oh, this is life again." It's back to normal.
Yeah.
I wish, but my first big trip once I got out of the hospital. You mean?
Yeah.
My first trip was back to Ireland. I was released on June 28th, I believe, and then I flew back to Ireland February of 2020.
Right before the pandemic. Wow.
It was right before the pandemic. Yeah, it was when people were, you'd see people at the airports with masks, etc. And the talk in Ireland was that they were going to start like to shut some places down. And I think I got back maybe 10 days or so before, like, all the airlines started closing, and it was
that must have been tough. I didn't place the timeline. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, you went through a major life-changing event with your accident, and then the whole world changed, and that affected your life too. So, you're going through, that's a lot for anyone to take. I mean, just the pandemic alone, let alone, a life-altering accident. Gosh.
Right. Yeah, no, because I mean, once I got back to normal life here in Pensacola, I mean, I continued rehab at the local hospital here, which is just literally a mile and a half from the house. So I was taken there I think it was 3 days at the beginning, and then it was 2 days, and this went on for maybe 6 months until they basically said, well, they can't extend it any further, so that was the point, like, when I was like, I'm kind of on my own now, this is it, apart from, like, working with my doctor, apart from, just doing what I could do at home, like, the exercises that I learned at the hospital, and I had done a little bit of walking, at the facility here at West Florida Hospital, a little bit of walking with the forearm crutches. But I wasn't very good using them, I was always afraid in my life that I was going to fall. So I don't know, I can't give you a date, but I mean, I had received a good pair of forearm crutches from the insurance company. And my God, I woke up one morning and I was just getting out of bed and, onto my wheelchair, which, at the beginning took a bit of time. Now it's quite a straightforward process, but I was just thinking, there my crutches looking at me. I said, I'm just going to start using those things.
Yeah.
It was just like that, and that's kind of how I work. It was the same at the Shepherd Center. I would just do something without thinking about it. I would just shower by myself. I wouldn't tell the nurses, you know. But yeah, I just started using the crutches, and that was like a new lease of life for me, being able to, just move about, because at the beginning you stand up and you feel like you're 7 foot tall, because you're sitting all the time and you feel so tall. But it just felt good to be able to do that, to be able to have the strength in your legs and in my arms. Because before my accident, I was a very fit person. I would work out 5 times a week, stayed fit, and still do, not as much, but I still work out and keep my body moving. You have to. I mean, you have to. You just lose the strength in those muscles, especially your legs. They just then tend to get those muscles tend to get very just tight, So you have the
what type of exercises do you do?
Well, when I go to the gym, I'll do 30 minutes on the exercise bike. And I know people were probably thinking, well, he's paralyzed, how does he do that, But with a spinal cord injury, I'm fortunate, like I said, I have a lower an L2, L5 injury, so it gives me some feeling in my legs,
Okay.
And it gives me, I have enough strength, my thigh muscles, etc., my lower muscles to get those pedals moving. And once you get moving, then you're pedaling, So I'm so happy that I can do that, because it's just like, I mean, it gets your heart rate, gets your heart rate moving.
Yeah,
it's good for your
cardio. Yeah,
good. It's very good cardio. Yeah, I'll build up a sweat. And I'll do some. One day I'll do legs. I'll do some leg exercises. Now the gym that I go to is not an adaptive gym, so I have to kind of how do you say, jimmy rig it? Where you just have to do your thing. But luckily I can transfer onto those machines and do my thing, whether it's working your legs or working your upper body. Yeah, I just learn all the time, but I'm at a stage, I think I'm at a stage though where I'm not, because the time frame that the doctors will give you after your accident for the spinal cord injury is generally 2 years. That's when they'll say, okay, you've come to a point where you're not going to improve anymore. If you think you are, well, good for you, but you're kind of on your own. That's when kind of insurance companies will tend to say, like, okay, we're at a stage. Yeah. But I never listened to doctors anyway, I never listened to them. I just, like I said, I didn't listen to my nurses at the hospital. I would just, go and shower by myself and do whatever I had to do, Yeah.
So I guess back to traveling, how has it been post-injury? Do you find that, airlines are pretty accommodating, airports, getting around when you go to different countries? Do you have tips or tricks for people who've maybe sustained a similar injury to, getting back out there and, being a world traveler again?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Well, if you're planning on taking a trip, for example, if you're by yourself and you need assistance, every airline will grant you that. They have to, under the ADA guidelines. If you need assistance, whether it be at the airport itself, getting through security, or if you need assistance physically getting onto the plane, they will always help you with that. You can request what they call as an aisle share. It's those little chairs. I don't know if you've ever been to at an airport and you see somebody getting pushed onto an aircraft. They're what they call an aisle share. But you have to request that at the time of your booking. You have to do that. Otherwise, they're going to be like looking for the staff to help you, et cetera, and they may not be available. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you could miss your flight, But no, they're very accommodating. I've flown with, American, Delta, KLM. I've had no problems. For me personally, do tend to travel with a lot of baggage. I have like a medical bag, and then I have my regular bag, and then I have my camera bag, and my crutches. Um, so it's a lot. But like I said, once you request the assistance, they will help you. They will help you get through TSA. So you don't have to worry about all that. You're not alone. Um, if you're looking for a specific seat on an airplane, go ahead and call them at the time. Well, after you've booked, and just let them know that you're unable to walk or you have problems walking, etc., and you're looking for a specific seat.
Okay.
I would definitely recommend that.
Did you bring a chair over with you when you travel internationally?
I bring my wheelchair. Yes, I do. I have a little manual chair. It's carbon fiber, so it's perfect for me, like for my daily chores or in and out of my vehicle. But for traveling, yes, I bring it with me. And I just take my cushion and I just take that with me onto the airplane. And then they're going to tag the wheelchair, so that it goes on with the cargo, and then you're good once the plane lands.
You don't have to go all the way to baggage to claim
Right,
the wheelchair.
right.
Okay.
They're going to bring the wheelchair up to the jet bridge, and then once the people come onto the aircraft and help you off, your wheelchair will be there. So and it's the same when you're getting on the aircraft. You're going to transfer onto that little chair, and then they're going to take your wheelchair and put it on with the cargo. But I was very nervous when I took my first trip, back to Ireland. I was very, very nervous. And using the bathroom as well, which is all I can say is that if you're flying within the United States, make sure you've gone to the bathroom before.
Yeah.
Because those little 737s or your A320s, they're not accommodating for the aisle share. So, but the wide body aircraft for internationals, they can. Some of those bathrooms can accommodate the aisle share, so they can push you in, and it's pretty tight. I mean, it's pretty tight. But if you need to pee or whatever, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was very nervous. Yeah, so if anybody is thinking I can't do that, let me just say to them that you can. You can do it. You just have to prepare. Being prepared, that's the key. That is the key. Knowing what your rights are, what you're entitled to. And the same with accommodations. When you're booking accommodations, you have to notify wherever you're going to stay. If, for example, you're in a wheelchair, you just let them know that you're looking for a room that is wheelchair accessible, that is a roll-in shower, etc., etc. Ask them, if you're unsure, ask them to send you photographs. A lot of facilities will say that they're accessible for wheelchairs, but when you get there, it's a little bit different, and it depends on where you're going. It depends on the hotel. Depends what country, et cetera, et cetera.
Do most countries, I'm only familiar with the United States and certain laws that are in place to mandate accommodations for folks at public places, but have you found that other countries that you've traveled to have similar laws so as to provide accommodations from someone like you who needs assistance?
Well, I know that Australia do. They have laws. My home country of Ireland, I don't know. I don't know, but fortunately for me, when I do go back, I have my parents' home, that I stay in. They do a lot of accommodations there will have facilities for somebody in a wheelchair or for those who have other disabilities. But it's definitely worth checking ahead. Argentina, for example, where I went to, it was pretty tough, they were not so accommodating when it came to accessibility, etc. So that was tough. But I was just so stubborn that I wanted to go there so badly. It's always a place that I wanted to visit. So would I recommend it for somebody? I don't know about Argentina, but you just have to ask. Everybody has to ask themselves what they want. If you want something badly enough, you'll do it. people said to me like, wow, it's amazing what you're doing, but I just said to them, I said, it's a challenge, everyone has challenges. You just go ahead and do it.
Sure.
Planning is the key.
I want to
Planning.
ask, kind of pivot to talk about because you had a workers' compensation claim that you resolved. How was the claims process? Because a lot of people don't talk about what they went through when they had a claim. Did you find the experience people on the insurance side helpful? What was the claims process like for you?
Generally, it was good. Generally, at the beginning, it was a little bit stressful until a period after time I got home from Shepherd, and I was able to like get into a routine of ordering everything that I needed, all my supplies, etc., etc. My case manager, the lady that I dealt with, she was generally good, generally helpful. Now there were times when things can get a little tense, because obviously they're there to help you, but they're also there they're watching what they're spending as well, they're an insurance company. They're like, well, so that was when I did have an attorney, and his best advice to me was, he said, your case manager is there to help you, but you have to remember she's there to help them too,
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody listening, yes, don't ever be shy about asking for something that you may think is crazy. It may not be a crazy question. There's never a crazy question to ask, because, if it's something that you think you need, then there's a reason why you need it, physically. Like for me, getting a pair of crutches, for example, the first pair of crutches that I got, they were just the most god-awful piece of crap that was ordered from Amazon. And I looked at them, and I emailed her and I said, look, these aren't good enough. I'm going to need proper forearm crutches.
Yeah.
And I gave her the manufacturer's name that was recommended to me by the physical therapist, and it was taken care of,
So you had to advocate for yourself.
You absolutely have to advocate. Yes, you do. And I'm sure it's obviously different for everybody. Yeah, you form like a professional relationship with this person. And I met with her on several occasions, and we were generally on the same wavelength. But like I said, there were times things were a little tense because insurance don't want to like do something, or they're taking their time. There were occasions when I ran out of medical supplies, which was pretty serious, and it was like, well, why do we run out of supplies? I was giving them plenty of notice, etc., etc. So be prepared for some times like that. I'm not saying expect it, but if it happens, yes, advocate for yourself. And if you feel like you need to talk, your attorney is there for you, and they will generally get back to you within a day or so. My attorney was great. Yeah, I never had any problems with them, or his I can't think of her. What's the attorney's assistant's
Like a paralegal.
Paralegal, yes, she was wonderful. She was generally helping me within like an hour of me emailing her or calling her.
They were responsive. Yeah,
they were good. Yes,
but that's great, Eamon. The advice to folks to advocate for themselves.
Yeah, don't be shy. No, because when you're injured, sometimes like your confidence is a little low. You feel like nobody wants to help you. You can definitely feel sorry for yourself at times, but you just have to slap yourself at the side of the head and say, hey, they're here also to help me. I need these supplies. So yeah. There was times there was a couple of F-bombs, every once in a while.
Sure. Understandable. How did you you have such a wonderful relationship with Catherine here. How did you come to know Ametros and get involved with us here?
Well, when I was formally introduced, I remember receiving the information. I was told about Ametros, prior, that y'all would be in touch with me.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who first reached out to me, but I had a lovely conversation with a lady, and she told me about everything, everything that was going to be happening from the get-go, how Ametros would handle, my day-to-day needs, medical supplies, pharmacies. In my case, I need a lot of medical supplies. And I was given some contacts. I got my insurance information, email addresses, phone numbers. So it was all pretty simple, really. I know it's going back a little over 2 years, but it was a pretty straightforward process, I thought. Because I am a warrior, that's why I kind of advocate for myself so much. I tend to plan ahead. So I think at the beginning, it was pretty straightforward. But yeah, God bless Catherine and Robin, two wonderful people that I've had to deal with. I wouldn't say had to deal with, but that I deal with.
Sure. Well, they'll love
who listen to my complaints, and if they're listening, they're going to laugh. They know what I'm talking about, right? But no, wonderful helpers. They've helped me get my medical supplies when I needed them quickly, or because sometimes I don't know what what I am entitled to. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I ask a lot of questions, and they let me know. Basically, it's either yes or no. What can be done. I thought, I can get everything I want, but there are guidelines, and
Sure.
Robin might tell me, Eamon, I would help you dearly if I could, but under the guidelines of Medicare, unfortunately not. and likewise with Catherine, yeah. Well, with Catherine, it was interesting because when I was looking for my medical supplies, she emailed me introducing herself. And I liked her from day one. She's a sweet lady. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. She adores you, Eamon. I just a quick question on, so, you're 3 years into this journey. Have you seen, technology change? I mean, obviously there's bad stuff. You got this pair of crutches from Amazon that were just junk, but have you seen any technology progress even in these 3 years where there's better assistive supplies now, or technology devices? And I guess, sorry for the long question. Are there other things that you could see in the future that would be able to help someone like you that maybe aren't on the market yet, or need additional, design work done to them?
I think in my situation, because it's just a little over 3 years, I think it would be a better question for somebody that's been in my situation for 10 or 15 years. They would have seen a lot more happen, for example.
Yeah.
My situation, yes, I think there's a lot of wonderful equipment out there that is there to help. I'll give you an example. One of the pieces of equipment that I have is called a Baytech, which is it's basically a scooter.
Okay.
It's like, if you can imagine, it's like the first half of a scooter if you just cut it in half. So you have like your handlebars, your brakes, your front wheel, and it attaches to the very front of my wheelchair. So after a conversation, if you Google Baytech, you'll see what they look like.
Okay.
They're a Spanish company, and I found out about them just through research. And they were founded by a guy, paraplegic, I believe, who was like thinking, I need something to make my life easier. So, but I was able to talk with my case manager at the insurance company and basically fight with them to get it.
You advocated for yourself.
I advocated. Yeah. My doctor, my case doctor, he didn't have any problem because he saw the progress I was making, and he said he thought that I medically needed one to improve my day-to-day living.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah. What a wonderful life-changing piece of technology that probably wasn't around 10 years ago.
I don't think it was, man. I think it's maybe in the last 6-7 years. But it's wonderful. It, like I said, it attaches to my wheelchair. It's got its throttle, it's got brakes, it's got lights, it's got a USB charger. I mean, the thing goes 20 miles an hour. I get so many people stop and ask me about it. It's amazing. I take it when I travel, so that's another piece of luggage I have to travel with. It was wonderful in Argentina and Australia, because if you're traveling by yourself, you physically can push up some hills or streets, that are not very equipped, for a wheelchair. But the Baytech, my God, it's a game changer. It absolutely is a game changer, especially when it comes to travel, or for some people, day-to-day living. So I would say to anybody that has thought about something like this, look it up. They're not cheap, but they're, like I said, it's a game changer, absolute game changer.
What's on your bucket list for places that you want to travel that you haven't been to?
Oh, bucket list. I'd like to get back to South America. I'm always fascinated with South America. Peru, Bolivia. I want to get back to Argentina again. I made some friends in Buenos Aires. Mm-hmm. Croatia in Europe. I've been there once. I want to go back again. But I want to see more of this country. I mean, we live in a beautiful country, man. I mean, America is beautiful. I want to see more of the west of the country. Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Montana, that area. So that might be next year, instead of traveling international. It certainly would be easier. Because it's tiring, man. Australia was a very tiring trip because I was just going nonstop. And it's just a lot of luggage getting in and out of a vehicle, by yourself. And yeah, but wonderful. I mean, when I think back, because photography is a hobby of mine, I got a lot of good photographs there. It was definitely a trip, a once in a lifetime trip.
It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people don't even, that don't have an injury, don't travel as much as you do. Did you think when you were at the Shepherd Center, I'm going to be traveling the world, taking pictures all over the world, and being all over? I mean, did you think about that when you were kind of at a dark point? Did that help push you towards wanting to go through with the rehabilitation and all that hard work?
Probably yes, because you have to imagine like better days ahead, right?
Yeah.
And some of the rehab was geared towards your future life, in a wheelchair, and what you will be able to do or what you may not be able to do. And yes, we a lot of us would discuss about travel and just basically traveling in a wheelchair and how you prepare for that. So for example, we were taken to Atlanta Airport, Hartsfield Jackson International. We were taken there one day by the recreational therapist, and we were taught how to pass through TSA, how to request the assistance prior to the trip. They showed us how to board the aircraft. We were boarded onto the aircraft. Yeah. So that was through Delta. We met with the Delta representatives, and we were boarded onto.
I think that's one of the busiest airports in the world.
Yes. And I think the fact that we're in Atlanta and going through Atlanta Airport, it's a little scary,
That's great practice. That probably gave you a lot of confidence to go, you know what, I can do it.
Yeah, it was. But I would certainly imagine certain places that I wanted to visit. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it or not, but I was certainly dreaming, So don't give up on the dreams, because that's what helps you, be stubborn and just get on with your day-to-day. Rehabilitation is you just think about something that you want to do, and if you think about it, you'll be able to do it. I think so anyway.
I agree with you. Well, Eamon, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. You're an inspiration. You're one of the most positive people I've ever met. And I wish you all the best, and maybe hope to have you back someday on the podcast again. I think your words of encouragement and your message of advocacy and your positive mindset are something really special, and will help inspire other injured people who listen to the podcast. So very, very grateful to you, sir.
Thank you.
Man.
Oh, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. And thanks for reaching out to me. I appreciate the fact that Catherine mentioned me to y'all. So special word of thanks to Catherine. She's a sweet lady, and my buddy Robin, if she's going to listen, because she's going to get to hear what I sound like, because I never take her phone calls. I'm like, we'll just email to get you.
That's great.
But yes, no, Sean, it's a pleasure. And if you ever want me back, I'll be happy to come back.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us for this episode of It's Settled, the Ametros podcast. For more information and episodes, you can visit us at our website at ametros.com. That's ametros.com. Or head over to iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. We hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to sharing more stories of people overcoming their workplace accidents and bodily injury claims, and those who are working hard to make a difference for them. So it's settled. We'll see you next time.